If you've ever watched Osmosis Jones and wondered, what's that virus supposed to be? Stay tuned. I am about to dissect potential answers. Voice manual control on. Hello there, friends and family members. I'm McGann, and welcome to the Fangirl, a series that takes film studies a bit too seriously. And today I'm getting super serial with a movie I don't really care for, Osmosis Jones. Never heard of it? You're not alone. It hit theaters in 2001 and finished its opening weekend in 7th place. The movie, which cost $70 million to produce, only earned $14 million at the box office. If you like gross out humor or, I don't know, biology, this movie may be up your alley. But for the rest of us, the weird style, off-sync mouths, and really poorly written dialogue just make this movie a turn-off. I mean, it has some moments and a little bit of charm, but most people remember this film as the one where Bill Murray is too gross to function. The film is mostly about a white blood cell, Osmosis Jones, who is trying to stop this virus named Thrax from killing their body, Frank. The live-action B-plot of the movie is that Frank is this disgusting widower, and it's not like, oh, well, he became this depressed person after his wife died. No, apparently he and his wife were so happy to be unhealthy, that's what killed her. Their entire diet was like fried food, mayonnaise, and salt. But Frank has a daughter named Shane, who is out of her mind worried the entire movie that her dad's gonna die too, which he does for a few minutes. Yeah, doesn't this sound like a fun movie for the whole family? Despite the PG rating, this is one of those movies where you watch it and go, who did they make this for? No, really, what audience did the creative team have in mind when they put in booger jokes, dick jokes, and brutal deaths all in one film? My only guess would be teen boys, but even that would be an extremely limited market during an era where cartoons were all deemed for children. A group of high school boys back then weren't gonna say, hey, let's go see that new animated film that might teach us about our internal bodies. So it's really little wonder that the movie did so poorly. But push the trash factor aside for a minute, I want to talk about Thrax, the deadly virus that kills Frank. I know, why do we need this video if the character is named Thrax? He's obviously anthrax. Well, you would be mistaken. The symptoms of Thrax, the character, include fever, inflammation, a runny nose, basic cold stuff. But then Thrax steals a DNA bead out of his victim's hypothalamus gland, I think that's right, and that causes his victims to heat up until they die. People don't realize how fragile humans are. With a normal body temperature, we sit at about 98 degrees, but even 10 degrees higher than that, and we're dead. Even at 105 degrees, bodies go into heat stroke, and by 107 degrees, you can have irreversible brain damage, organ dysfunction, or death. So yeah, design flaw for sure. I feel like we need a PSA for global warming right here. Fix global warming because we're really fragile and can't stand a hotter temperature to cook us from the inside out. Something like that. Back to the movie. Anthrax symptoms include nausea, swelling, chills, red eye, rashy bug-like bumps, and even sores on your skin. Anthrax can also cause flu-like symptoms, but overall, Frank doesn't exhibit many anthrax symptoms other than the flu maybe. And even the flu I think would be pushing it. Anthrax is also a bacteria, whereas Thrax the virus is referred to as a virus multiple times. One of the big differences is that bacteria needs a host to survive and a virus doesn't. And that would explain how Thrax was able to kill multiple people before Frank. Plus, when Osmosis finds out what Thrax is supposed to be, he calls him La Muerte Roja, the Red Death, which wouldn't really make sense as a way to describe anthrax. While poking around on the internet because I hate all this medical stuff, I found out that the Red Death isn't a real thing. Actually, the popular belief is that Thrax doesn't directly connect to any real-world virus, even though he most closely matches scarlet fever. And those symptoms would include fever, sore throat, headaches or body aches, nausea, difficulty swallowing, on and on and on. But usually you can note scarlet fever from from the bright red rash that comes with it, because that's the scarlet for the fever part. So I don't think Frank really has that either. Honestly, I think we can pinpoint Thrax a little better than that. Since his entire plan revolves around the hypothalamus gland, I started my research there. Turns out there's something called encephalitis, where the brain becomes inflamed, usually due to a virus, and mild cases cause cold or flu-like symptoms. Normally, encephalitis isn't a huge deal, but you could potentially die from it as it affects the brain and the nervous system. So Thrax seems to be linked to encephalitis, even though it's important to note that encephalitis is a condition, not a virus itself. So looking over the most common viruses that cause encephalitis, I found, hold on, I have to read this directly, cytomegalovirus, abbreviated as CMV. CMV symptoms include fever, lethargicness, sore throat, and can affect your appetite, which we do briefly see in the movie because Frank can't finish his fried chicken. CMV can also affect the hypothalamus, and it is actually a type of herpes virus. So long story short, Frank was killed by herpes, meaning Thrax, in my opinion, is a form of cytomegalovirus. Oh, and just to throw it out there, CMV does break into 5 different types that people can catch, but none of them are a perfect match to Thrax, and of course the movie's going to take some artistic liberties. So I think CMV is the closest we'll get, or really need to get, to having a full answer. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Hey guys, theory is over, but let's have a little bit of derps. I want to talk a tiny bit more about Osmosis Jones, but not like in a technical film study sense, more like a what in the heck is this thing sense. If you have not seen it, I found it on Starz, which is where I watched it. I have not noticed it on Netflix or Hulu or anywhere else as of recently, but I remember they tried to make such a big deal out of this movie, and oh, it's going to be so funny, and you're watching the preview and like, who are you marketing to? This appeals to no one. And then they turned around and made it a WB Kids Saturday morning cartoon series, Ozzy and Drix. Because when you're a pill like Drix, you can choose to stay around forever. That's not worrisome. It's not like he's gum. I mean, what the heck? But I would love to ask you guys and find out if you are familiar with Osmosis Jones at all. What is it about it that you like or hate? Because I know for me, I hate all the mucusy snot kind of stuff. It's like, I don't like any of that gross out stuff. And I didn't like the movie when it came out, and I really still don't like it now, even more so now because I have a huge gag reflex at this point. Like when I was a young little teenager, I used to be able to watch all the gross stuff and just go, ew. But now it's like I see gross stuff on TV and I'm just like, ugh, I don't enjoy that at all. I don't know who does, but I'd be interested in getting to know you a little bit and what makes that work for you and your brain patterns. I'd like to study you people and your gross out love. I get this feeling it's mostly young guys. Although oddly, my mother finds nothing funny unless it's toilet humor. And she's this totally educated person with an engineering degree, but the only things she ever finds funny are like Melissa McCarthy losing her bowels in the sink. It's so gross to me, and that's all she likes. If I show her something that I think is funny and it does not include bathroom humor, it's always like, that was a waste of 2 hours of my life. So yeah, I guess feedback me here, guys. If you're a gross out person, what is the appeal? Teach me your ways, or really don't. Not specifically, like in a general sense. I don't want the details. Anyways, guys, you have been listening to McGann ramble on like a crazy person, and it is time for me to sign off. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. But for the rest of us, the weird style and off-sync mouths. Back to the movie, symptoms. Plus, when Osmosis finds out what Thrax is supposed to be, he calls it swelling in the throat. Meaning Thrax, in my opinion, is a form of cytomegalovirus. Did I say that right? Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos like you helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.